Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Welcome to the show that's for you, that works so hard for your money, but you're ready for your money. Start working harder for you right now. You want that freedom and cash flow today, not 30 or 40 years from now, because you want that life right now, because you want to live that life that you love with those you love. But most importantly, guys, it's not just about getting rich. It's about living a truly rich life, whereas you are prospered and blessed financially, you have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing this podcast with others. Thank you for being a part of this and not just listening, but also being a doer of the word as well. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. As a reminder, be sure to check us out on moneyripples.com. Not only check out the other tools and the things that we have, but we also have that passive income calculator that you can take to figure out how much passive income you can create in your life right now. So check that out and take that today.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old. But he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
Today, one thing that kind of came to my mind as I'm thinking about summertime, and I don't know how you guys grew up. One of the things in the summertime, when you're out of school, like you're playing outside with your friends, and my generation, Generation Xers, like we played until it was dark or past dark when we play, and our parents were grateful that we weren't in their hair, right? So we were kind of like raising ourselves in a lot of ways. But I also remember too that besides just playing outside and doing sports and things like that, I also was a big reader. I don't know if you were like a bookworm like I was, but I was a major bookworm. I was one of those weird kids that was reading the encyclopedia at age 7. Kind of nerdy, I know. But during the summertime, I loved getting into the fiction type of books. I got into nonfiction too because I love science, I loved astronomy, but I got into the fiction books. And I remember the local library would always have this big book reading contest. And so I would go for it. I'd check out as many books as I could, had a huge stack. And of course, I didn't have a basket on my bike. I had a BMX Huffy BMX dirt bike. So I'd be having to carry these books from the library for the 2 miles ride to my house. But I remember some of my favorite books were the Choose Your Own Adventure. Do you remember those? The Choose Your Own Adventure, where they had multiple paths you could take at any different time. Of course, you always freaked out when you hit that dead end and all of a sudden you died. Or you're like, I just got killed. I love those Choose Your Own Adventure books. I loved not just getting to the end, right, and have a happy ending, but I love seeing multiple endings and possibilities. And so I would take every twist and turn. I wouldn't read straight through the book because that didn't make sense. But I would take every twist and turn. If there was a point A and a point B to take, and I took point B, the next time I'd take point A. And then if there was another split off, I'd take that one next. I would just go through all these different variations just to see how many different variations of the book I would get. And I loved it. I loved having a book that was so living. It was something that had so much possibility. And I was thinking about that the other morning. I thought, this kind of reminds me of our own adventure. Like we're choosing our own adventure in real life, aren't we? I mean, we're taking different paths. We have the choice A, B, sometimes C, D, E, and F, right? We got all these different paths we could possibly take. And we're always hoping to take the best one, of course. I know with my generation, we're big on make sure we make the right choices. Often it's against the norms, right? Or it went against what the general population or institutions will tell us, which is why I'm kind of a rebel, but I know a lot of you are too. And this is why this message might resonate with you more, because we're trying to do something very different than the norm. And I thought about the path that many of you guys are taking towards financial independence or financial freedom. Is it the path that's going to give you that happy ending, or is it going to lead to an ending that is kind of meh, or an ending that might be more just devastating or tragic? That's the kind of ending I want to talk about for you, because some of these endings have already been written and some of these endings we've already seen. Yet many people just keep making the same choices. They keep taking the same path. The common path, of course, is the one that's about the traditional retirement accounts. You save up in those 401ks, you get your company match, you save up as much as you can, you're paying off your debts, you're doing everything that Dave Ramsey told you to do. And yet, does it really work? So that path has really been determined, right? It's one that we know, it's a common ending. And here's the ending that we're seeing right now. And this is happening not just with the prime lifers that have moved on, they're already into retirement age and past it. But then we got the baby boomers that now have already got into retirement age, are pretty much entering it or have already entered into it. And we're seeing the same signs, aren't we? We're seeing the same ending, the same statistics saying they got about 80,000 to $100,000 saved up, and that's it. And they're supposed to live on 3% of that, which means they're supposed to live on a couple thousand a year. And this has been predicted, right? I actually just almost finished a book called The Fourth Turning that was written back in the late '90s, and they were already predicting that baby boomers were pretty much going to enter into a place where they realize they got to stretch it more. Like they got to stretch out their money longer, right? They're not going to have as much as they had hoped. Not they don't have the consistent paychecks that their parents were getting before because they could just rely on the government. That's not the case. They've got 401ks and IRAs and things like that, retirement plans that are now they're just trying to siphon off and live on as little as possible, hoping that Social Security will come in enough. Therefore, as a result, they got to simplify their lives, which I don't think is always a bad thing, but they got to simplify their life. They got to keep it very simple, live on a strict budget, and hope that they don't run out of money and wondering what happens if they live too long. And this is a common fear. And it's not just with the average baby boomer, right? It's not with just the average retiree. This is happening even with those that have over $1 million. You've heard me say the statistic over and over and over again, right? They've come out this year in 2023 that 35% of 401k millionaires, those that have over $1 million saved in 401ks, still worry about really living too long, really thinking it'll take a miracle to actually be able to retire free. This is the common theme that we're seeing right now, right? We already know that life of freedom has not existed. Yet, how many people are still going through the book, choosing their own adventure, hoping that the ending will somehow change? Well, maybe it'll be different for me. And maybe it could be. Maybe you happen to get on the right end of the market cycle. But what if you're on the wrong end of the market cycle? What if it ends up being worse for you than even your parents? What if it ends up being that way? Do you want something different? And I know many of you are probably listening and or watching this right now and wondering, "Hey, I'm looking for answers," right? And here's the thing, we've talked about strategies so much. Now, are we talking about, am I giving away all the information? Well, in some ways, yes. In fact, I probably give away more information than I should. I've had people tell me, "Chris, you give too much away." Now, am I saying here are the people to invest with? No, of course not. Because one, that's illegal. I can't tell you how to invest. Well, I can tell you how you can invest, but I can't tell you what to invest in. I'm not an investment advisor and I'm not giving you investment advice. Now, I can say here are the types of investments that our clients are doing, right? We talked about doing turnkey rentals, right? We've talked about doing lending, where you lend the money to those real estate investors and you get paid a contractual rate of return. We've talked about, you know, throwing your money and with other investors and buying, pulling your money together to buy like an apartment, buy in the self storage, buy into oil and gas or mineral rights type of deals, buying into franchises or businesses, things like a car wash or whatever it might be. There's so many options that you could be doing right now. And those are a different path. Those are the paths that it's not that no one has taken it. It's not like this choose your own adventure book hasn't happened, but this path is actually shown some happy endings. And I'm not just talking about for myself, although that could be one of them, right? But there's even people like our clients. There are people like that are actually seeing happening. We just heard last week one of our clients who were trying to get on the podcast to be a guest. She just hit her financial independence number. She's now at the point where she's work optional. She now can choose whether to keep working or not. And that's a powerful place. Understand that this is not just about retirement, right? We're not just about talking about retiring and living out your life and dying. I believe that we have so much more in us. I believe that getting to that point of financial independence is just the next step for some of us financially, but it's not the last step. It's not like, okay, I did it. Now, time to die. Happy ending. End of story. No, there's still more choose your own adventures along the way. There's an ability for you to actually go and do your passion project, whatever that might be. It might allow you to be able to have more assets, more capital to go and serve people more. Maybe you want to start serving missions. Maybe you want to start helping other people. Maybe you want to start working with this organization or that organization. Maybe you want to be able to donate more money. Maybe you want to be able to help give your kids a leg up in life when they've had headwinds against them, especially as we move into this kind of crisis era with our markets. I mean, and we haven't hit the worst yet. I think there's more worse to come. But it doesn't mean that that's over. It doesn't mean that that's the end of story. It just means that there's a new possibility for you, new possibility for your families, for the loved ones that you have in your life, for you, especially with the story you're trying to create and the lives you're trying to impact. You have more options. And the great thing is, you don't have to wait until you're 70 years old, like some people are. Many people are delaying retirement right now just to essentially shorten the lifespan that they have to be in retirement. Not a life of freedom, but a life they can finally say, well, at least I can quit that job, or maybe I can go from full time to part time. And I'm not even saying it's bad to go part time because you might want to go part time just to because you love what you do. Maybe you love your business. Maybe you love your job. Maybe you love what you're doing. Maybe you just want the option to say, you know what? I wouldn't mind just doing part time work over here, doing this thing that gives me plenty of freedom to do what I love over here. Guys, that's the power of this. This is not just about creating more passive income. This is about what you believe the passive income will get you, buying your time back, giving you that time freedom and that freedom essentially have more options in your life versus the plain old path, the adventure that everybody has been choosing lately, which is how can I get to that retirement, stop working a job I hate, and then hopefully I have something to do something. And maybe I have enough life left. I'm here to challenge you that maybe we can do it younger while you still have life and vitality, while you can still have the energy to do things. I'm not saying that your life is over at age 60 or 65. There's plenty of life for many of you there. But having witnessed what happened with my own dad, getting to that point where he did work longer, he did work later because he hadn't, even though he had saved a lot, it was still not enough based on investing in his 401k, based on paying off his debt. It did not work. And again, I will repeat this, that adventure is not an adventure. That's a tragic ending, right? Because for him, he got to that point where he could retire and he's able to relax for a few years, but then health issues came up to where now his options have become limited. He's now living in his own prison, really the prison of modern medicine that's fortunately and unfortunately, right? Fortunately kept him alive, but unfortunately has kept him in a life that he did not choose, or at least that he did not want to choose. It's a life that was the result of the choices he made. That can happen to any of us, guys. Who knows? I can end up not having life from this point forward. I hope that this is not my last podcast episode, right? I'm not saying that. I think I have plenty of life ahead of me, and I'm doing what I can to make sure of that. But you just never know. There are no guarantees. All you have is right now. All you have is that decision right now. Is he going to say move to page 47 or are you going to go back to page 16? Which option do you choose? My invite to you, my challenge to you is to choose a different path. Choose a path that has worked, path that's given people options, not just me, not just our clients, not even just a lot of our guests. I mean, there's been plenty of people here, but I want those options to happen for you. I want that freedom to happen for you, which is why this podcast is happening, why we're spreading this message, why we're creating that ripple effect through your life. That's the whole purpose. That's why I'm doing this instead of just living, doing very little. This is my choice, right? My path. I thought I could just go and retire quietly and do my thing and maybe do a few things I'm passionate about. But ultimately, this is what I'm passionate about. I love being able to teach and inspire, especially inspire you to action, which provides real, actual results and hope in your life. But guys, that's my challenge for you is choose something different. Stop taking the pages that have been worn and torn and turned over and over to just get the same old stinking ending, which is people retiring with very little or just never feeling like they'll have enough because they don't. They can't have enough to do it. $1 million, 3%, 30,000 years is just not enough if you want a life of freedom and options to be able to have power in your life to bless more lives. My challenge to you is to do just that. Bless more lives by making different choices today. Visit us at moneyripples.com for any questions. Make it a wonderful and prosperous week. We'll see you later.